that I wrote last semester. And it's about food, gluttonous food. And so it's based off of Nathaniel Hawthorne's The Birthmark. I read that, and I really, like is not the right term. I thought it was hysterical because it was so over dramatic and over romanticized, and the woman was all like, "Whatever you want to do to me, you know." It was kind of funny, so I thought I'd update it and change it around a little bit. So I hope you bear with me on this. And so I'm going to read only the last 5 pages of it, 4.5 pages. So to catch you up, the main character is a chef who retired and married an underwear model, followed her around the world, and he realizes that he's not being mentioned anymore in the same breath as some of the other great chefs of the current time. So he becomes devastated, he wants to know what to do, and as he's going over his comeback, he realizes his underwear model is really skinny, and therefore not perfect because he's a chef, and what kind of chef would marry a skinny woman? It makes him a disgrace to the chefs, other chefs. So he figures he's going to force feed her, make her real fat, and that way she'll be perfect, and this will be like his vehicle to prove to the world that he's back and banging and all that stuff. And so we picked it up, he's done this, he's enlisted his old sous chef, Raven, and they've been working in his underground laboratory, in his basement, kitchen, cooking meals and feeding her, but she hasn't been gaining weight. And so they're perplexed, and he's bringing her a new meal, and it's a pesto dish. So there's green sauce on top of it. The green is pesto sauce. "Ah, my personal chef, what have you brought me? My muse, my soon-to-be Zoftig, I have brought you a dish not only to fill your stomach, but your hips too. This will surely add delicious meat to those delicious thighs." The mere thought of this caused Giuseppe's shoulders to lurch once again, and an episode of dry heaving returned. Her thinness is now causing him to become physically sick. Try to put that. So he's dry heaving. The bowl of pasta fell to the ground. The green sauce oozed all over Giuseppe's feet. Raven appeared in the doorway to the basement, a look of concern on his face. Giuseppe, still hovering over the fallen food, kept his eyes shut, waiting for his body to settle. He then felt a soft poke on his shoulders, and he looked back. Raven stood there, pointing in the direction of Adriana. She sat comatose on the overstuffed chair, having fainted. "Help me, Raven. Let's move her to the bedroom." Giuseppe grabbed a pillow to place under her bony ankles so he wouldn't need to hold him directly, and the two men carefully carried Adriana's light body down the hall. With Adriana resting comfortably in bed, the two men turned to leave when an electrical buzz hit the air, and all at once the power went out. Standing in darkness, neither man moved. I did not believe the wiring of this old house would be able to keep up with our work. Raven, go to the pantry and recover the candles and meet me downstairs. I'll make sure she is comfortable. Giuseppe fumbled in the side table drawers until he drew 2 candles and a matchbook. He placed the candles on the table, and before he lit a match, he thought better of it. "I'm afraid it's better to look at you in the darkness, my love." Giuseppe turned, biting his lip, and exited the room. Downstairs, cauldrons were filled with soups, sauces, and meats boiling on the gas range. Aromas based in Italian, Spanish, French, and Middle Eastern cuisine peacefully commingled in the air. Giuseppe stood on the bottom stair, surveying the scene. Candles were strategically placed around the kitchen, illuminating the stove, knives, spices, and anything else important for the current concoctions. "What are we doing wrong, Raven?" Giuseppe asked. His sous chef was speechless. Raven himself looked as if he gained more than a few pounds in the course of the weeks. Giuseppe grabbed a lit candle and walked to the basement bathroom and looked in the mirror. Away from the stovetops and ovens, Giuseppe only smelled his wretched body odor, a mix of sweat, tears, and shame. In his glowing reflection, he saw his once solid body that also looked a bit pudgy. Nothing made sense to him. Adriana had been eating continuously for a few weeks, and yet nothing was happening. Her skin still stretched over bones in a way only seen on runway models. He touched his stomach, then his arms. He poked and parted the fat, testing how taut it was. He pinched his forearm, seeing the wrinkles build upon each other in the shadows of the diminishing candle. Giuseppe gripped his bicep and flexed, feeling the muscle. He looked at the mirror once more. Half his face was covered in darkness. He touched his shadow-covered cheek. He could feel his warm fingers on his prickly 2-week-old beard, but could not see it. He could not feel anything except the burning sensation of failure. His food was tasty, but it lacked substance. His calzones were always baked perfectly, golden brown on top and the bottom, brushed with olive oil for the extra sheen. But what filled them besides mozzarella cheese and assorted other vegetables and meats? Ingenuity? He once thought so. Love? He once never doubted. Unique ingredients only found at his restaurant? Never. He tricked food critics and customers for long enough. Everything was made and done in the name of commerce, in the name of building a fortune and proving he belonged among the caffeines of celebrated chefs. It was for respect, but not the respect of people he cared about. It was all for magazines, newspapers, celebrities, travel books. It was all about greed. But how can you attain respect and adoration over something that you can eat and digest in less time than it takes to cook? Once that perfect breast of chicken, cooked in that perfect butter and lemon sauce, with the perfectly cut and cooked mushrooms, served that perfect portion of al dente or to the bite angel hair pasta, once that is eaten, where is the proof it existed? Giuseppe blew out the candle, his image washed away from the mirror. Raven, where is my meat cleaver? The sous chef pointed to the cutting board with the rack of lamb and candles surrounding it. Giuseppe strode over and grabbed the large knife and ascended the basement stairs into darkness. He reached Adriana's room and softly closed the door behind him. He placed the knife on the wooden side table and carefully picked it up, not careful not to knock over the unlit candles, and moved it beside Adriana's bed. He pulled out the booklet of matches and struck one. The scraping sound woke Adriana and her eyes fluttered. Her cute yawn stuck Giuseppe like a dagger. So close to perfection, yet not quite there. Adriana squinted and furrowed her brow, and soon realized where she was. She breathed in deeply and smiled at Giuseppe through the two burning candles. I guess I must have passed out. That candlelit dinner reminds me of our date on the sailboat in the marina. Remember, Poppy? Yes, my love. What are we going to eat now? Risotto, chicken, red wine like we did then? You did love that risotto. It was divine like your biscotti. Giuseppe began rolling his sleeves up his arm, carefully folding the material in perfect even lines. Adriana's imperfections were masked in the subtle light of the candles. For all he knew, a Rubenesque figure lay waiting beneath the darkness, but he knew that was impossible. He had been feeding her empty food that lacked substance, history, food that had been gathered, butchered, plucked, cleaned, packaged, and stored artificially in stores in the weeks just past. She needed sustenance that had been cold for years, slowly rotating in the spitfire of the professional culinary world. Adriana, his wife, the beautiful creature before him, needed to be perfect so he could reclaim the perfection others no longer saw in him. Poppy, what's wrong? You're silent. Giuseppe's sleeves now rested tightly around his biceps. His naked flesh felt the heat of the candles. My dear, I went about this all wrong. You need nourishment not found in a grocery store, but nourishment that has been marinating in years of study. Adriana shifted till she sat against the headboard. Her bony fingers were caught by candlelight, curling her hair behind her ears. Giuseppe grimaced and looked away. I don't understand, Poppy. Giuseppe returned his gaze between the candles. He uncurled his left arm on the table, his fingertips touching the hardened wax surrounding the candlesticks. You see my arm? Can you see the veins that run the length under this dim light? Trust me, they are there. The flesh of this arm has been formed by the finest ingredients our world has ever seen. I've been trying to feed you for a few weeks. That is nothing. I have served under Keller, Saussure, Savoy, the list goes on. The greatest chefs of the past century. I have feasted on the morsels, their mishaps and greatest achievements. I, your husband, your loving husband, is the best sustenance I can offer. Giuseppe, what are you saying? I'm saying my arm is laid on this table before you like a chicken wing, waiting to be broken up on a butcher's block. A sacrifice, an offering. No, Poppy, Adriana said, her voice quivering. That's my acting. No, Poppy, Adriana said, her voice quivering. Why would you do this? I love you. I love you too. This is why this must happen. You willingly sacrificed your career for me, so why should I not do the same? The shadows caused by the candles masked his hand moving towards the blade. Giuseppe, my husband, my one true love, does it matter if I cannot fill my frame properly? Adriana said, tears illuminated under her glazed eyes. We have each other, right? That's all we need. Giuseppe leaned forward until he felt the heat of the flame against his beard. His face was a bright yellowish white, but everything else, his hair, ears, body, was submerged even more in black. That might be all you need, my love, but I want something more. You deserve more. We deserve more. Giuseppe grasped the cleaver with his right hand, feeling its heaviness, and raised it to the ceiling. The candlelight glinted off the unbloody top of the blade. Adriana raised her arms toward the cleaver, mouth open, eyes shining with tears. But now, Adriana, my love, you will eat well, and we shall be perfect. The blade landed with a dull thud right below his elbow. Blood spurted forth, covering them in a shockwave of red. Adriana froze, her eyes like a clean dish waiting to be plated. Giuseppe grunted as he struggled to free the blade, rocking it back and forth before succeeding. He raised the stained cleaver once more to the ceiling before striking downward. The heavy thud of metal colliding with wood echoed throughout the room.
Thank you.